These are my old videos about making custom parts for motorcycles. Here I share my experience, but now with English translation. I would really appreciate it if you support my channel by subscribing and liking. Enjoy watching.
In this video, I'll talk about building a Springer fork. Here's a finished leg that's already been welded and cleaned up. For the base, I used a 28mm diameter tube with a wall thickness of 3.5. Unfortunately, I finished it before I started filming, but I'll try to explain how to do it using this unfinished leg. For this, you'll need a tube of the diameter you want, and then you'll need to bend it. The degree of the bend also depends on how you want the fork to look in the end. Then you need to measure the centers, marking them on both sides, and just cut it, leaving some space at the end for the mount that goes to the lever. You can wedge it open with a screwdriver, a chisel, or something else, rods or a pipe. For example, I first hammered in a screwdriver, then the chisel, and finally, I took a pipe, cut it, and just hammered it into the slit. And while the pipe is inside, you need to drill one hole and insert an axle there. Then weld it, and it just serves as a spacer here. Then the fork will have this barrel-like shape, after which I clamped it in a vise, talked on the plates here, I haven't even removed the tocks yet, drilled 2 holes, and welded an axle in the same way to keep the tube from spreading. It created a clean taper going down. Once the tube has the right shape, you need to cut out plates like these. To do this, you can make a cardboard template by holding it against the leg and then transfer that template to a sheet of metal. I used a 4mm thick sheet, since about 0.5 millimeter will need to be left above the tube for cleaning and fitting, so there's enough material to grind down. I have these 2 plates, and now they need to be welded onto the leg. This plate needs to be bent by simply placing it on the leg, marking the bend, and then just bending it in a vise along the mark. Now it needs to be tack welded, and here, for example, is a section where the plate is at the right height. Now you need to make a tack weld on both sides here. At the next tack points, you need to set the same plate height, and do that all along the fork, so there are no up and down variations in the plate. Now it needs to be welded, and for that I'll take a 1mm thick disc and make a groove all around the perimeter for better penetration. After that, I'll take a grinding disc and make a bevel along that same groove. Now the 2 legs are ready. I've already fitted the fork tube and cleaned it up, and now I'll explain how I'm going to make the upper triple tree for the fork. For this, I have these 3 small parts, machined on a lathe. These are for mounting the 2 fork tubes, with an internal diameter of 28mm, and the center hole of the triple tree is 32mm in diameter. The design of this triple tree is quite unique. It's going to be welded. And for that, I have prepared this little part here. And there's also this jig with holes where these machined parts will be screwed on. It's just a milled plate where all the points will be fixed, and then everything will just be welded over the top. I have these centering bushings for each of the parts. After that, they just slide onto the axles. Everything is tightened from the top so that all the dimensions are even. The chamfers are already cut, so I'll start welding right away. I'll clean it all up later. And for the lower triple tree, I made 2 parts like these. One hole is 36mm for the steering stem shaft, and the bottom hole is 28, just so the plate can be welded to the shaft from below. The shaft has a diameter of 34mm at the bottom. I made the hole here 35.5. to be exact, so that I can use this shaft to get a precise 90-degree angle here. It's all going to be welded later, so a super tight fit isn't necessary here. And it's the same with these holes for the fork tubes. It's important to space them accurately from each other and in width. In the end, these two triple trees will be welded together, so there will be 2 to 3 millimeter seams here, which won't make any real difference. It'll all be hidden under the weld.
In the future, I'll tell you how I built my motorcycle, about the nuances that await someone who wants to assemble a motorcycle with their own hands. Or not just a motorcycle, because I also later built an airplane, which I also have a video about. So if you liked what you just saw, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed to my channel and gave it a like.